Let me share what I have for you, and let's say we make it maybe interactive. I mean, like to get some knowledge about how things works in general, and I have a couple of slides. Actually, I don't mostly work on the slides because it's not too intuitive. But I have a couple of demos which you will get more part of that. All the slide deck I will share with the Ripple and also input my LinkedIn profile as well that everyone can see later stage. Okay, I put my timer so that I mostly are very excited about it, about sharing knowledge with others. So I overshoot the timing. So I put timer for 55 minutes. Right. Okay. Yeah. So topic is for AI guardrails to secure your Copilot studios, right? The deployments, right? So I have worked with very large and very small organizations. So I want to give some kind of my insights of AI in general and talk about the Power Platform and also talk about Copilot Studio. So everything which we were able to know from that from my sharing, right? Like everyone is learning, so you are getting something. I also get something from your teams as well. So what I will try to share is about the agents, right? Now, everything is right now talking about agents. So I start the AI thing. I start working in Microsoft Singapore, right? And that time ChatGPT was in the prime, right? And at that time, Copilot Power Platform was in the beta preview, right? So at that time, I shared my knowledge with the customers, very large customers, potentials, and something like very customers who are very large thing, right? Like from hospitality, from government agencies, and also for a banking sector, right? So work on that, right? So just sharing with them how it works, right? It was that time it was just a preview, but now everything is inside in your GA, right? So what I want to share with you is that I have done lot of sessions in the last couple of years, and I want to share with it how we can obviously use Copilot Studio and also make it secure, right? That is our end goal to learn, right? So I have a lot of demos, I have a lot of um, mind maps which I learned, and I want to share with you that you can learn as well, so that you get a value from this, right? So agenda is very simple. I want to make it. I'm not expecting everyone know about technical stuff, but my stuff is about talking about how to make our Copilot Studios agents, not from the deployment standpoint, but also from the scale standpoint. So think about agents who are just a customer who have only 500 users. I work with the customer who have 10 users also, right? So think about scale from 10 to 10,000, right? So we talk about scale, right? Very important that when you implement any kind of agents in general, you have always think about scale, because Microsoft always work on the scale. So if you work on something which is just hard coded with just 10 users, and you want to scale, it's difficult to do it. So planning and governance is very important, right? We also talk about how Microsoft actually use as a case study, right? How the Microsoft use their own. I'm not talking about Microsoft Singapore, which I worked in. I'm talking about it globally, right? How they worked in, right? How they work with vendors, how they work with the guests, how they work with the partners. So we talk about that thing, so you get the understanding, right? And the most important part, which is a guardrail, talking about the governance piece. Very important that if you build amazingly good agents, Copilot Studio with maybe with SharePoint and public site, and additional security, your C level, your C-suite won't buy those product, although it's very good. So security, governance, and the capabilities for the large scale for enterprise is very important, right? That we worked on. Now, I want to give very simplistic way. I think a lot of people have seen this slide, not a type of slides. I'm giving you a very generic way, right? I want to give a not very technical. I give a very high level way, right? So, what is an agent, right? Now, you can think about anything, right? What I think of agent is something which is help me, right? Example, Word document, right? When Copilot was not there, making a table formatting is very tedious, right? Think about I'm making a POC for one of my customers, and then I make a template and the UI change in Microsoft, right? Then you keep it. So this is very tedious, right? So there's something what we can do is to make our life easy from personal standpoint, right? Personal standpoint, and also do for business, right? So what the agent help us to automate, very important, automate your personal stuff, as well as talking about the business standpoint, right? More important, because business has to be secure and be compliant, right? Yeah, so that is something about that. Now there are something called as retrieval task and autonomous, right? I'm not going to in detail. I give you a summary. Okay, what is retrieval? Okay, what is retrieval? So the thing about example of the Word document, right? So I got some Word document from by many people. I want to make it a simple Word format from my maybe 7 to 8 users. I want to collate it and want to make a summary of that, right? So that is called retrieval, right? I retrieve information from different places, and then what I did, I want to make this 5-page document summary to my C-level people, right? My CFO, my C-level, my manager, right? That is something that is simple way to do. This is a simple agent, okay? And then we have another slightly more middle level agent, which is called as which can do things. The goal is to independently and monitor as required. Example I can think of, because I'm worked for the Power Platform for a couple of years. I always think about Power Platform, right? Think about Power Automate, where you want to have a app for maybe for tax retrieval. So you have think about in India and maybe other countries, right? We have tax, right? Want to automate so that with somebody had their tax thing, then go step by step approval, right? Maybe it goes to the IRS tax manager, then goes to his manager, they go to director, right? That is Power Automate things we can do, right? That is very simple to do it, but needs slightly more knowledge on that, right? So that is a very easy to do it as well, and you can do with low code or no code, depends on the use cases. And the third one, which I want to talk about, is autonomous, right? Now, what is autonomous? We talk about the autonomous in detail later on, but I give you a brief of that. I want to have a goal that if I think about the tax thing, right? I'm from India. I want to have tax from maybe in the city, maybe from Jaipur, right? All the people who are working in that city, I'm working in RS. I want to have this thing done. So what I want to do is that I want to have my income tax is should be autonomous, which means that if there are 100 users who are filing their tax inside, and then it immediately should go to the individual approver, which is predefined in your Dataverse or maybe in SharePoint example, okay, and then it sends reminders for approval. Example, I'm giving 5 level approvers, so it goes to each level approvers and then sending tasks to them. When the all the users approvers send this thing, and then it completes the task and send to the person who has saying that your income tax filing is done. That is autonomous without any kind of prompts. We can do it, right? So that is a different kind of ways we can do, and this is take slightly more advanced because we are talking about this Power Platform, but we can have maybe AI Foundry to be integrated. Example, we want to integrate maybe Salesforce or SAP for that matter. So you can have multi-agents work together. So this is a high level. I'm not going to put in detail, but high level. So first thing, retrieval, simple stuff end users can do. Task, maybe business users and the low-code users can develop, and autonomous mostly built by the partner or by in-house team who can make have a skill to make development skill set, right? So this is a way which we can do. Okay, now I want to give you a context about how in Microsoft, what I shared with you, this is generic, right? It's not it could be used by any other non-Microsoft things, right? Could be Google, Amazon, or Sales for that matter. Any. So this is the definition I'm sharing is a technical agnostic, right? Any platform, but we are working for Microsoft. So for our thing use case, right, we have something called as a agent builder, right? This is the power user. They can make some agent very easily, right, without writing a single line of code. So the other stuff is for developers, right? It could be a partner or could be your user. That, yeah. So what Microsoft, the good thing about Microsoft that they cater for different use cases, right? And think about end users, right? They are business users who can build applications and they can help the business to make it faster, right? Even the makers can build applications low code, maybe some power users, and developers could be a partner, could be in-house development team, right? So lot of different skill set of people. So Microsoft actually right now is focusing on this area, right? And the partner are here, right? So we have worked with the partners so they can work on this. So our main focus is primarily into this area in this session, right? We talk about that. Yeah, I'm not going to pro developer because it will be slightly more complex. I can talk, but not at this session. Okay. Now, one thing is a not a very complex or easy thing is that what I have learned in last couple of years, the licensing part of Microsoft, it's like could be complex. Actually, it's complex. I won't say I won't miss my word. It's complex, right? And at times, I've worked with the customers, and they told me that, Aro, I can't understand what this product does, right? And can you give some big deep break and tell me how it works? So I mostly have. That's why I'm sharing with you that you can share with your for yourself or with your customers if you want to, right? So I want to share it at a high level because one thing to take understand, right? If you are a customer, you are end user, whatever, right? Please talk to your Microsoft service people, your account managers. They will give you right licensing. What Microsoft shows on your licensing is just good to show, right? But when you interact with Microsoft and we have an account manager assigned, right, the price will be slightly lesser, right? So that is very important, right? Don't buy without interacting with Microsoft account team, right? They give you a lot of benefits, right? So always rely on that. Okay. I have learned very hard way. That's wanted to give you. Okay. So in Copilot Studio, I'm not. You can go something called as credits. Right. Think about credit card. Right. So after some every month you have to pay. Right. So you can use that credit for maybe 1 month. Then you have to pay. Example, I paid 1,000 rupees, right? Then I have to pay every month, right? So exactly same thing in the Copilot credits, and then the each credit. Example, I buy. Again, depends on the things. I buy maybe a Zomato meal, right? So my meal will be 1 credit, right? However, if I buy a laptop, right, my credit will be different because the cost will be high. So in Copilot also depends on interactions, what type of interactions, the cost will be different. Okay, that is to understand. I'm not a licensing specialist, but I learned from a lot of people. So licensing is very could be complex, but I want to just make it simplified. Okay, so each transaction could be different credit, right? As I example of Zomato, which is maybe 300, 400 rupees, and you buy a laptop which is around 60,000 or 70,000 rupees, right? Depends on the thing. So each interaction have a pricing, right? So let's go and check on that, right? In the licensing standpoint, if you have your Copilot Microsoft 365, everyone has, right? So that Copilot has a very limited capabilities, very limited. But if you have licensing, which is a Microsoft 365 Copilot, that has some slightly greater capabilities. But if you go for slightly more capabilities, you start from here. Sorry, start from this particular section. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So in this way, you have all the capabilities, right? So this is very limited. This is limited. Now let's work on each product, right? So when you have your own 65 micro 65, right? You have Copilot default, right? Yeah, and then we're going to use Microsoft Teams, right? I'm talking Microsoft Teams. Then you don't have Gen I features, right? And you can't publish to any other service. Example, in SharePoint, you for Outlook or other places, you can't do it, right? So your features is very limited in that context, right? When you're using Microsoft Teams free or using some other tools, right? That is a part of that, right? However, if you have Copilot features in that, then you have a per user plan, which you can use for all the features inside, right? But you can't do for your public site, right? So these days, many organizations are going for that because they want to publish to SharePoint, because SharePoint is their main source for sharing part, or it could be any other third party, right? So many organizations go for Copilot license, and then you can publish to SharePoint or maybe any other Microsoft tools, anything which can do, right? So that is something which part of your licensing skill set thing. And then if full feature which I mentioned to you, you can use Azure Pay as you go, and each credit is a zero again $0.01 per credit, right? That is a less than $0, right? It's very so it is very cheap. So it depends on the licensing what you're going for. Depends how you go, but I've worked with many organizations. The pay as you go is slightly more simplified. Why? Example that you have 100 users, and 10 users are actually using their your Azure bill, right? So you will charge only for that 10 users. But maybe in June, August, when the mostly the tax thing is happening, right? So all the 200 users will be using that Copilot Studio, and that the bill will be increased because all 200 users are leveraging the Copilot. So pay as you go is a give flexibility, because you pay as much you want to, you'll be charged for that. Example, I use my phone, I pay in Singapore dollars, maybe $70, right? But I went to India, I stopped my phone connection for 2 months because I'm using my India number for 2 months. So I won't be charged. Same thing you can do here, right? And as I mentioned to you that you will get some Copilot credit back if you go for the, I talk to your account manager and Microsoft, they will help you. Why I'm telling this information? Why this information is because every time I have any sessions, people ask for licensing, right? So I thought like it's very important for everyone to understand that how the licenses will work. Okay, right? So let me give you something which I built from a scratch, and you get a understanding, right? So let me close this thing, my deck here. Okay, and I go to my yeah. So this is, I mean, if you go to Microsoft, there are around 20 pages there, which is very lot of data is there. But I think what I mostly share with my users is that, to my customers as well, I share that easy way to understand, right? So example I shared with you about the licensing, right? Let's go to the right side, right? Then right side you have database for the Copilot Studio, right? In that context, right, you have database. Again, you have to beat the database. Then all your fundamental things for Power Platform, your Outlook, Shape, and everything will work on that, right? And the capability is 1 GB per dollar per GB, not dollar, right? So database Copilot Studio you can work on that, right? And the good thing is that once you have this database thing done, right, all your governance security is already controlled there, already given for you, right? Example of my DLP policies, my regulatory compliance, all my control of my GenAI, database control everything there. So that is one part. Okay. The other part is a messaging which I told you, right? So Copilot message is $1 thing which I mentioned to you. You can go for that, or you can use a licensing model where $1 per message you can do, which means I mentioned to you if the user is going for holiday or something uh, for some December, mostly people are won't be using it, right? Then your bill for Azure will be very less, right? The other way to licensing is called as a messaging subscription, right? So you can go, it's pretty high cost, but organization is not very high cost. Depends on the how you are working on that, right? And I mentioned to you that with Copilot, right? You have very limited features, right? So you can't build features on that. So important that when you're working on Copilot Studio, try to go for something called pay as you go, and then at least you can leverage your SharePoint agents inside, right? Again, I'm not a licensing specialist, but very important that when you're working with your C-level theory manager, whatever it is, talk to them that Copilot Studio need licensing. Yeah, it's not free. Again, Copilot Studio is not free. Okay. Yeah. So that is something I want to call out, right? Okay. Uh, wow, a lot of slides. I don't like slides a lot. Okay. I think I will give a demo in just next 5 minutes. Okay. So in Power Platform or any matter thing, right? Any platform, right? You can have a scale, right? So example, I have agents with thousands users, right? So 10 agents. So example, scenario A, this is a scenario A, right? Scenario A we're talking about. So in this scenario, we have 10 agents, which is with 1,000 user monthly active usage, right? Monthly active usage, right? And these agents you have could be used for total engagement is 100,000, right? Or 1 lakh, right? So you have 10 plus this thing is a multiple, right? But here, because we have only have 10 agents and we have 10,000 users inside, right? So those we have fewer agents, which is they're very popular agents. Example could be your IT department, your service ticket department, your finance department, right? So think about those are 10 blockbuster movies because these are the most popular agents which entire 10,000 user work on. Okay, yeah, and this is mostly all the customers have seen. These are the mostly this is the use case. They have a high use cases, a lot of users, but the agents or the app they develop is only 10 or 15, right? Depends on the use case, right? Then other use case scenario B, you have only 10 users, but you have 10,000 agents, right? So I've seen these cases as well, right? But this is a very niche, right? Think about a niche agents, which is a custom finance department. Think about BlackRock, right? BlackRock, somebody bought an agent, and this agent has to build for BlackRock. So these agents could be for finance things. So this finance account has to be deployed for all their 10 regions. Could be Singapore, Malaysia, India, China, all things. So there you have more agents because your use case is very niche, right? So in Power Platform in general, right? You can either have 10 agents, you can have, or 10,000 user you can have. Yeah, this is the scale which you can go for. So the summary of this slide is that you can have a same engagement, right? Depends on the scenario, right? Scenario A, we're talking about high concentration of the usage, right? IT department, highly popular, highly scalable usage, right? However, scenario B is a fragmented usage because only some users are using it, but they are distributed to across different regions. So you have custom for each department. It depends on how you work on that. Okay. Right. Now, what we want to talk about is about the balancing governance and the innovation. Right now, I'm talking about. Remember, have one slide. We talk about the business use case. Right. We're talking about the end users. Right. Then we have some other C-level people who have a different agenda. Right. Example: I'm a business user. I want to have a conversation AI, Gen AI agent for my department. Example: I am from IT. I want to build agents for my IT department. Right. However, the security officer will think, yeah, okay, IT department can build, but what about the data security? What about the compliance? Is IT, because IT works for different departments like finance, everything, is I'm able to protect the other departments, right, from a threats. So he talk in a different tangent, right? Now CIO will talk about different thing. Am I getting all the visibility for my agents? Right? Am I have some expert who can share with me how it will work? Am I getting proper ROI? Right? So I'm talking about three different audiences. When talking about the Copilot deployments, right? You can't be just one audience, right? You can't be other. It's a recipe for failure because you're just talking about only your segment. You have to think about C-level people, right, who have a different viewpoint. They think about security, compliance, governance. Example, I give you an example that in Singapore, the your ID card, just like Aadhaar card, right? We can't share this Aadhaar the IC card to anyone, right? It's a security threat, right? Because there are a lot of people, bad people who can use that card, right? So we have only last 4 digits we can share with the agencies. Even the agency, hospitals also, they can't accept it. We have to share only last 5 digits. The same thing applies to the governance. This is not the IT thing. It's not the governance for each country, each region, right? So when you're talking about security protection, the C-level people are talking about that mindset, right? So you understand that when you're building an agent, you have to cater to these C-level people. Very important. Okay. Now, I work with many. I mentioned that I work with 10 users to have working with actually one of the large organization is 25,000 users I worked in. So depends on how you worked in. What most important thing to understand is that if the organization is new and they have not have a just embodying the agents, what we do, we get some early adopters, maybe some IT departments, some finance people, some HR, example, depends on the things. We have do a POC for the users, right? Think about the pilot, right? And that time we have no strategy. We just want to absorb that those 3 or 4 departments, they understand how the agents will work, right? Now it can be your SharePoint, could be a Microsoft Copilot, could be your Azure. I'm talking about adoption is generic, right? It's not for product, right? I'm not talking about product here, okay? Right. So here, once the things are done, 3 departments are done, we can repeat for other departments. Then we have some initial control. Very important, right? If the 10 departments are working, we have to understand that in my Power Platform, how many agents are created, how many apps and flows are created. That is important, right? Once it's done, we have to create define. Now we want to roll out to maybe in India, right? Maybe in Jaipur, we want to roll out maybe 100 users, right? Then we have to define some center of enablement, right? Some trainings to the users, right? Could be then. And then we found that, okay, we are successful. Then what we can do, we can actually expand to other countries. Maybe we move to Singapore, then we talk about Malaysia, then to Philippines. So in that way, we are talking about ROI. Think about the C-level people, right? We are talking about C-level people inside also. And then later, if all things are done, then we do a broad adoption. That maybe in this Jaipur organization we're working on, they are around, they have 35 cities and countries. Then we have to adopt those agents into that level, right? So depends how you build your landscape or agents. Having this kind of roadmap will be actually help you on this. Okay, I'm not going to this thing because this is an agent. I just want to give you this slide that I will share with you later on. But very important aspect is that you always think about your data hygiene, right? I mentioned about IT, right? IT cut across many departments, right? Think about finance, think about HR, think about your operational departments, right? Purchasing department, they're working on the sensitive data, right? Are we safe for sharing with those departments? Answer is you have to do it. We have to ensure that one, right? Then you can quickly build with a low risk agent departments. They maybe work with IT, then work with maybe operational department, which is not like a very high risk departments. HR and finance will be slightly high because they are the one who build the making money, right? So we have to think which agents we can work on, right? And then later we can actually do the automation and other things. Okay. Okay. Now, once I just this slide I want to give you a context, right? Very important context, right? In Microsoft we have around 2,200. I'm not in Microsoft anymore. I just want to give you right context, right? That we have around 2 lakh. Almost 2 lakh people, more than that, right? And we talk about 100,000, 1 lakh vendors we have, and also we have different guests, right? Yeah, and Microsoft work with these so many countries, right? Now think about the landscape of Microsoft, right? How many sessions they do Copilot things, right? How many OneDrive or work with the different work agents they work on, right? So you can see the scale. I'm not telling you is that your Microsoft is very huge, right? I'm talking about my organization is maybe 3,500 or 5,000 users. Maybe it's yours could be just 10, 15 or 1,000, depends on the use case. But security and compliance is across, right? You have to secure and compliance should be part of that. So you think about that, Microsoft always have a control, like they have a 2FA, then you have to use same computer, you can't share with others. So a lot of security they provide, right? So important that when you're working on a large organization or maybe small organizations, security compliance is a baseline. They have to be that. Okay. Okay. Now let's change the gears. Okay, let's change the gears. I'll talk about the demo soon. Well, just in 5 minutes we talk about demo. Okay, so for agent architecture, we have something is generic, right? I'm not talking about any product, right? So the first thing is the foundation. The foundation is always your large language model, LLMs, right? So when you create an agent, that is you have to choose, you have to pick and choose which particular model you want to choose, because this is the base, right? Base is most important when you build a house, right? If your house is not strong built, right, then everything will be falling off apart, right? So your agents, right, could be one agent, could be multiple agents you work on that, right? So these are the core part of that, right? And then we have a orchestrator, right? Now, out of what is called orchestrator, think orchestrator as your brain. Okay, orchestrator is your brain. Okay, and is gives a task to you. Example, I'm went for run today, right? So my brain told me, okay, Arya, this is too much food you ate yesterday. Now good to time go away. So then what I do, I went for run, and then I see the traffic. There's no traffic there, right? Okay, and then I take a thing, and then I stop and see the scenery. That is an orchestrator. The brain is actually controlling everything, right? So that is a part of your LLM, right? So orchestrator, yeah, you could choose anyone, right? So here, I'm giving Microsoft Copilot, or could be ChatGPT, could be Gemini, could be any other tool. Okay, and the third layer is called as your UX, end user experience, right? Think about your Microsoft Teams, right? Whom can you chat with him, right? I want to ask that this particular project, right? I have some issue. Can you help me with this, right? It could be a website, it could be anything, right? So it could be anything. It could be a mobile app, right? So end user experience could be anything, right? So that is the important part. The fourth thing is about your knowledge, right? Knowledge, you think as your agent asking questions. Example, I have some HR documents, and which I surface to users at in Jaipur organization, right? Think about a company, right? So those is my knowledge, right? That is which I know, right? So that is something. It could be a web source, could be any instructions which I can store inside, right? That is something which we can work on. The other aspect is skill. Okay, what is skill? Skill thing as an action a person can do. Example, I go to take a bus, go to office, do a project, right? Project is about how to make a power platform more secure. That is my project, that is my skill set, right? Yeah, me other people, maybe a project manager could be thinking about the my schedule. Are we on the schedule? Any kind of issues I'm getting in the roadmap in last 2 3 months, right? So he will think on his skill set, right? CEO will talk about the ROI. So each person have a different skill set, right? And the other things for autonomy is about independently, right? So think about the Tesla car, right? Which can even the traffic, it can actually see the things, and you don't have to take a steering wheel. It will help you. You have to just put the location of your one place to another place, and it will guide you, right? That is called autonomy, self-learning kind of stuff, right? This is generic. Okay, the last part, this other part I'm talking about the something called as a Copilot Studio, right? And here in the Copilot Studio, what we talk about is about same thing. We talk about the foundation, but in Copilot Studio, we talk about open AI models only, right? ChatGPT 4 and 5, right? Depends on the things. So Copilot Studio, you can now integrate with other models like Entropy and all, which are in the beta. But right now, at this point of time, yeah, which is today's 11th of October, we don't have on 3 Entropy and other things. We have only Copilot Studio, also OpenAI, right? And then our orchestrator, we know our orchestrator is Microsoft Copilot, right? And for the user experience, any channel which is supported by Copilot Studio, it could be Microsoft Teams, could be your WeChat, sorry, not WeChat, ServiceNow, your Salesforce, right? Your is or any other tool you can go, SharePoint for that matter, any channel you can do it, right? And in the knowledge part, it could be a SharePoint site, could be your enterprise systems, could be not Microsoft product, maybe some ServiceNow. We want to surface that, you can do it, right? For the skill set, you can use Power Platform connectors. You can have AI flow, prot, and autonomy, which I mentioned to you, right? Autonomy could be any product, a non-Microsoft product to which integrating with the Microsoft product. Triggers, we use Microsoft triggers for that. So this is a generic way how to do it, right? Now let's talk about the security piece on that, right? I think I'm have still have some slides. I think best to uh, show the demo because I have a lot of things to share with you. Okay, okay, okay. Think is one thing which I didn't share with you. Maybe let me share this thing. Very important part, right? Security. Okay, this is only one slide. Okay, when you protect the data, right, you have to understand that you can't do alone, right? It has to do a product called as a Microsoft Purview, right? If it is another product, another licensing you want to do. Okay, yeah. So what the thing example, I'm doing an HR agent, and then I want to expose protect my data, right? Think about HR people, right? They have the salaries and your training, everything can't be shared with other people. So we do some kind of DLP policies, all other things we can do. So very important that we use Purview for that. Okay, yeah. So that's something we do. So in my demo, what I'm going to share with you is first thing, a very simple demo. It's not very complex. Just want to show how we can secure your app inside, right? So you can see that I don't have a URL for that, right? Copilot Studio. You have to click on this URL. You have to get trial version. The trial version is work very beautifully for maybe 30 days, and you can extend for 30 days more, which means yeah, around 90 days to 1 year and 2 days still work. After that, you have to go for payment, something like that, right? Yeah, so something will work on it. So let's work on a very simple agent, right? And the agent we're talking about called as licensing, right? The licensing. We well, just think that we are the end user, and we want to understand the licensing for the Copilot Studio. Okay, Jaipur UG. Okay, and one thing to understand is that when we do this thing, right, in any things inside when you build, right, when you work for multi-tenant, multi-agents, right, the description and description of the agent and the instruction should be very clear, so that the other agents and even your agent able to understand what this agent is talking about. Okay, so example, in my example, what I'm trying to do, I put a description. Okay, very simple description. Okay, to give me access right features for the AI capabilities for licensing. Okay, that's I'm just copy paste because I don't have time to show everything to this point of time. Okay, second thing is very important to share about instructions, right? How the Copilot will give agents, whether it will be a tone, will be a friendly tone, or it could be what purpose of the interaction. It will be based on that. Okay, and then when I click on this, you see I can't build it because I have to click on create first. Okay, so I just do it, click on this, click on create. Okay, so what it is doing to do it, creating tables in Dataverse, and also creating some tables which can be used at a later stage. Okay, now one thing I want to share with you is that orchestration, right now you can see my agent model is which one, only one model I can use it, right? But if you're using Azure OpenAI, Azure AI Foundry, you can have more, right? So let me go back. Yeah, so I have only this model I can use. I don't have any other options. Okay, instructions, what I can do, I can go and put in this thing. AI agent is this only. There's no other agents. Let's go to see. You can see I can pick and choose other models, but they are only open AI. Just want to in future, in next 2-3 months, you will get it more models. I mentioned about Anthropy, and maybe Meta will be coming soon at this point of time. Right now, Microsoft not released. They are in preview. All other models are in GA, which means you can choose only OpenAI models. They are good security. Cost is okay, but they are good, right? That's something we can do. Okay, and thing which to be security is that when you build on the security, very important, right? When you work on security piece, right, always 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 pick either authentication with Microsoft. Okay, very important, because then you have your Entra ID authentication with your all your Microsoft things. Or ever now assume that you are have a third party integration. It's a non Microsoft product. Okay, then you can use federated method as well. You can use generative auth and everything you can do it. This is slightly more complex in a scenario, but mostly if you want to have security, I mean, it depends on the use case, but if you want to have public site with all the users, then you can do authentication. But for internal users, always have authentication with Microsoft. One of the most important thing, but is default for us, right? Right, and the connections we can do. And what we can also have a threshold is the how many nodes we can do. I'm not going to in that level. What I want to share is that you can add as many skills you want to add. I mentioned your skill set. It's a different way, but you can add your own skills, right? Other things which we can do is languages, right? Example, I speak Hindi, right? And there's some people from other languages, right? Maybe I have offices in UAE, right? I have offices maybe in Russia as well, right? So these are the agent can talk about these languages, right? These are inbuilt for you. No configuration required, right? That is simple, not quite advanced, very think, and you can have your own localization files at times because the what Microsoft provide, it may be not so appropriate, so you can upload your own languages inside that one. Yeah, so upload your localizations. Yeah, the I mean the accent and things will be different there. Okay, right? So that is I'm talking about, right, that particular part. Okay, now let's work on this particular thing, right? I'm the virtual agent. I want to upload a file, and my file is Copilot Studio licensing. Okay, you see? Yeah, so I have using this system. I add this agent. Okay, it takes some time, right? Because the PDF document is a very large document. It takes some time. So I just do it here, and what I will do, I do a test. Okay, it takes some time. Let me see how it works. So I do a test here. I do a test and ask a question, right? Can you give me free and paid licensing for Copilot Studio? I'm using this still. You're still progressing. I don't know. Let's try. And then it's generating some data and it's showing me how this thing. You can add as many sources you can go for, right? You now is always thing. So you can see I mentioned you free. You can use free as well, right? You can use free. So very easily you can have free of charge. You can use the Copilot Studio user license required, everything, right? I mentioned to you that you can add more resources, right? I can have Dynamics, I can have ServiceNow, I can have AI search as well, right? For autonomous, we have to using Azure AI thing. I can have more data inside, right? So you can have multiple data sources, non-Microsoft products like Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Azure products can be used public side as well. So important to add more data inside. Okay, right? So this is our things which we can do, right? Now, if I go to security part, right? I think let's go to one of the other example which I showed you about security standpoint. I created this one, right? So I just go to this one, right? I click on this agent. So you can see here, I installed I do a lot of testing and live for demos, right? Now you can see here, it's a classic web part, right? If I click on this one, if I click on this, my PL200 chatbot service, I click on this, you see the no scan, no threats happening. Why I'm doing it, I want to show you is that when you publish these agents, there are a lot of agents, a lot of hackers and scammers, they try to attack your app, right, your agent, right? And with that what happens, right, you get lot of issues with your data, right? Because your data is either database or SharePoint. So what this protection is talking about is talking about how much your how your pilot, the purview is protecting you, right? So it's showing me how many messages was blocked by the scammers, all things. It could be internal users. Or maybe I'm working in Russia and Russia maybe not accepting those particular things, right? So it is blocked for me. but I know I have some colleague in Russia as well, so it could be not block also, right? Depends. So all the tracks, all the authentication, all the policies are controlled there. So this is automatically, just want to give you a context that when you're working on the multi-region countries, so you have to think about that. Okay, yeah, so we work on this particular part. Now I'm going to something called as a Microsoft Purview. This is the backend. This is only the C-suite. This is only the security team. Again, IT security team only they have access to, because it's a Purview, it's a license, separate license, right? Not all the people have access. Now, what I want to do, I want to show you that if something happens, some somebody attacked my agent example, right? Yeah, so you can see there's a risk, right? So yeah, so what I can do, I can just click on my audit, okay, and then what I can do here, that I'm only a couple of days I do a demo here, right? So maybe I have a use case that I got a security alert from IT that some agent was compromised, and they give a time frame. So what I do, I go to that time frame, it is maybe in August. What they did, there be some scammer or hacker trying to access the one of the agents, maybe from 31st of August, okay, and I can do anything right here. But main thing, it could be a user also, right? So it could be a user, his name is Alex, right? His ID was compromised, right? But make it simpler. I just search for the which thing, what was interaction first done. So I can go for Copilot interactions, right? I mentioned what is interaction, right? Interaction means any app you interacted with Copilot. It could be a Word document, could be your Power Platform, could be your Outlook, right? So Copilot interactions is, it will be shown me that I was the Outlook, I was interacted, it was interacted by Copilot, by agent, my agent, or by Power Platform. So Copilot interactions is important to understand how my Copilot interactions were actually captured. So I can just click on this, right? Okay, I can click on any kind of plugin was used by, or a hacker or a scammer delete my plugin, right? So these are the things which I can do, and I can just click on search, and if it take at least 10 to 15 minutes, but I'm giving you one of the examples which I did yesterday, right? Completed, right? I click on this. Now, just assume, because it's a demo tenant, don't have any hacker, because it's very simple use case here, right? So if I go here, I click on my audit search here, right? This is my audit search. I can find some information about, yeah, interact with Copilot. Which part? I can check. Okay, Copilot interaction, which part, which record, yeah, which program. So Copilot Studio, right? And maybe use one Outlook also. So I may get some hacker use Copilot Studio, but now because I have a purview, it will safeguard me, right? I can get the IP also here. It's not showing up, but it shows the IP as well. All the details is shown to you, right? This is something which is you as a IT expert can actually be captured and actually tell to your management, also to the security team and your organization, that these agents are compromised, and we have to make it block those particular agents, right? So that's going to work on that. Okay, yeah, that is something very important. The other parts is I'm going to share is about policies. Right now, making policy is take 2 days or 3 days, take some time, right? So I already built some policies for our Copilot agents, right? So I already activated, right? So you see, it takes some time and all. Now what I want to do, let me search on Copilot. Nothing happened here. Let's go for my things. You can see my interactions, data security, nothing happened, no ethical things. So what I can do, I can just go to my uh, policies, and I see any things were compromised. You see, data loss protection. Okay, so if I have a, again, just think about in Jaipur organization, think about ABC Travels. They're working in there, and they found that a lot of other hackers are actually accessing their Gemini application, and they're also checking their Azure, their all other non-Microsoft products. So they want to block sensitive data from there, right? So here, what I'm doing, I'm just checking this, and I'm telling to this policy. This is can be done only by the by IT, and I can check the policies and I can modify my policies. So in my policies, I've already created some policies that if something happens, right? Policies for maybe for Singapore, maybe any policies, I will be blocked, right? So example, if II policy, let me go to this policy. Okay, yeah, demo for this. Sensitive data for this, right? Yeah. So if I do anything here, right, any risky management, think about insider risk, right? I have a colleague, and he's checking things, and he's leaving the organizations, right? So I and he's copying the things, and he want to share with other partners, right? It's very high risk. So this is called as the insider risk, right? So if somebody is leaving the organization, we can threshold, right? Any prompts which he's leaving the organization, right? We can block that he can't go to any AI sites. Any sensitive information from his site will be blocked as well. The only thing is that normal emails and checks and Outlook things he can do. Nothing else he can do. Those are our policies which I can define. Now I can talk about these policies for 1 or 2 hours, but in this 1 hour time frame, I just want to give you what is possible, what is not possible using the Copilot interactions, and what can be done and can't be done. I can have one session about entire policies with Copilot, but this is overview how it can be used by the any organizations. So in general, what we have seen is that Copilot Studio can be used for as a no code, low code, pro code. We can build applications very simply, but what when you have to scale from 10 to 100,000 users, we have to think about how we protect our sensitive data, about health data, about your financial data, so not be open, overexposed to the external people. So this is the way our purview help is that. Okay, so in purview, something which I want to share with you is that on purview you can have a, trial version as well. Yeah. Why I'm looking for trial version? Because many customers ask me that Aro, we are not don't know how to do license and also I make this mind maps. It's easy to understand, right? So in purview you must have E5 or G5 license. Okay, but if you don't have G5, you can have add-ons. You can have add-ons of or E5 for compliance, or maybe for security, right? Or you can go for trial. You can check for the 30-day trial, check how it works and all. So that is important that when you're working for the Microsoft Purview, you have to either getting a E5 or A5 or G5 licensing, or else if the organization doesn't have that much budget, then you can just add on in your E3, maybe your subscription for compliance example, right? So in that security, that data security compliance which I'm talking about can be controlled, because at this point of time, at this pace, agents will be a future, right? And if you're not controlling it, will be very tough for any organization, just not the users, but for the C-level people. So just want to share with you, please, when you try these security controls, how the Copilot can work with the purview and all, at least you have your mind will be open and you can get the value from these products. Okay, so this is my uh, deck which I shared with you. If any questions, you can just ask me right now. Yes. People, Kunal, anyone have any questions here? I'm happy to answer. I'm actually
No questions,
I
Aro.
overshoot by a
Yeah.
few minutes here.
No problem. But just wanted to thank you, Aro, for this wonderful and awesome session.
Yeah,
When I looked at the title, when you shared it with us, with me, I thought it is going to be Copilot Studio, deployment and security. But I'm really appreciating here you that you extended it along with Copilot Studio, security, AI guardrails. You also included Purview, Microsoft Purview, which is really, really great. Again,
yeah.
thanks a lot, everyone, and Aro for joining this session today. You all are awesome. And please stay tuned for our next session from JPPUG, which is a very vibrant community of like minded professionals. Thanks a lot to you, Aro, for sharing
Then,
your knowledge.
thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye bye. Have a great weekend.